and make me legal, what do? He had me go down and get a marijuana card. And I got a marijuana card. And I went to the infirmary up there where the guy passed it out to me, and I asked him, I said, how much do you want for an ounce? So I don't have to keep coming back here. He said, make a deal. He says, $350. I said, $350? I haven't got that kind of money. So I had to go back out to the black market and get my $70 an ounce. What you are offering and what you're telling people here, they have to put out the money to build this fireproof house. And it has to be a certain size. Where does the money come from? Well, if I go right now down to that infirmary or that medical place, he's not going to tell me. I don't believe anybody in here is going to tell me. So therefore, I'll be one of those patients that will have to go to the black market. I don't want to do that. I've done it for 58 years. 58 years. I've had to be a criminal. For what? My own father, tried to put me back in jail because he found a marijuana plant. This is when I was 13 years old. I wasn't selling it. I wasn't trying to go out and do anything bad with it. I was trying to make it to where I could sit in the room and have a conversation with him. It took years for him to finally understand that. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to address? Andy, we'll start with you and then we'll come over here.
I would just like to ask again if you would possibly extend some time for a way that some of the medical marijuana patients that want to have an input, or if you would consider some parameters that would allow some form of outdoor growth. The staff and the police department could just consider the kinds of security that would take, or the size lot, or the setbacks from the fences. I just implore you to please make a way for those of us that need to grow our own medicine to be able to grow it outside. If there's a way that you could do that to allow us a certain size lot, a certain distance from whatever you want, whatever the parameters are.
Schools and churches and stuff.
If you could set some, if there's some parameters that you could set that would allow us, if we have an active place, to do that.
City Council, Jordan Murray. I am a recovering addict of a local street drug, and I'm recovering. And not only is crystal meth very bad on the streets these days with the kids or whatever, pharmaceutical pills is as well. And to go pick your fight with pot, it's there's bigger issues out there to feel. And also to make more red tape and laws to put law-abiding citizens into the system. And I worry about it just being some form of job security. But the idea is to have a right, I believe, as well as to have their affordable, easy access to their alternative medicine within pharmaceuticals. Thank you.
Something I forgot to ask you, have you considered the lawsuits? Perhaps a fairly large one that might come out of this? Can the city afford that? Is that something that's figured into the cost of this particular piece of legislation? And I'd also like to ask, if a young person breaks into somebody's house, gets into the medicine cabinet, and steals their prescription medicine, would the city consider an ordinance to have the guy put a safe in his medicine cabinet? Or would they punish the person that committed the crime, not the victim? Please think about what you're doing before you do it.
say I live in Susanville. I've spent a lot of money in my backyard out of my own pocket. I live here and I'll never leave here, you know. I've had a medical marijuana license for a lot of years. And for you to say I can't go outdoors, that's kind of bogus, you know. It's a lot of, it's just a lot. You know, you guys, I got my house broken into. I lost a lot of my medical marijuana. Whatever you guys want to call it. You guys haven't done nothing. And I had fingerprints right there. They still haven't done nothing. But what I think should be done is a security system. I had to buy a security system for my house. I got a security system for my plants. It should be to where you guys know. You should know where it's growing, not having to judge. I'll go out in the middle of the woods with a
Yes.
what are you going to do then? I'll get in trouble, or should I just go buy a lot? I got family elsewhere. I can go buy a lot, and I can put 99 up, and you guys want to know where it is? I mean, I'm a medical marijuana patient, and you can't take it from me.
I'm not a criminal.
I mean, cameras online. You guys can have my cameras online. It'll pick up at your PD station.
Mine too.
I mean, it's not right. It's cheaper than going inside. I do it inside also. You know, but there's a limit. You can't set us into a building, right? That'd be like asking you to go build a garage. Because you can carry a gun. All your guns should go in the garage. Right? It's just wrong.
Anybody else?
I'm a new local resident here. I've been here about 2 years. My name's Ken Davis. I'm currently going to be a citizen here for many years. I have a family that's been living here over 47 years. I've been growing medical marijuana for multiple cancer patients from the Bay Area. I moved up here. I tried to slow down my lifestyle and everything, and respect the law, respect the growing rights and everything. And I just want you guys to know, growing indoors is a very costly, very expensive, and a very quickly lost medicine because of insects, because of the lighting systems. The poor electrical out here, I would never try to grow it indoors because your light cycles would be off, you'd lose your crop, your money would be down the drain. Now, we fight hard to keep our medicine, for ourselves. We don't do it for children. We don't, distribute it out on the streets. We make sure that all of our medicine is secured. Now, to take out our outdoor grows, there's a lot of people I know that I've met in town that do grow, that are medical patients, that do need it. Good friends with Annie and Lisa. And what I see out there is trying to control it in an enclosed environment is not going to work. People will go out and grow outdoors. I think that we just need a better regulation on this. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Coulter Tree. Susanville is a pretty sad town these days with a lot of the street drugs that are out there. Marijuana is really not a problem. I think it's sad that you're hindering people that want to live a natural life and grow their plants for their own personal use, for medicine and whatnot. But I'm forgetting what I'm saying. I just think it's a bunch of BS. There needs to be better. Sorry.
Anybody else? Okay, let's bring it back to the council. Council then. Any questions for Tom?
I'd like to address a few things. Turn the projector on. Presumably, everyone in this room is doing illegally. That's not the problem. Unfortunately, people doing it illegally is the problem. I know young citizens in this community that have gotten medical scripts over Skype on the internet, claiming they had chronic back pain or anxiety. They never saw a doctor face to face, but they got medical scripts to smoke weed now. They're going out of the area, buying their medicine, bringing it back, selling it, taking it to parties, giving it out. That's the issue. Medical outdoor growing is an issue. I was recently on fire in the last 2 weeks out of the area. A resident of the area we were working in had 100-some plants in his backyard. He had a rifle set up sniper style to a cord that went to the gate. So if one of us firefighters walked in before the sheriffs did, one of us would be in the hospital. That's the problem. This is a article. When I lived in Florida, I coached a young man wakeboarding. Came from a successful family. He went off to college in Orlando. He got involved with this. 41 warrants were served. It was one of the largest drug busts in Central Florida for marijuana. They were moving over $750,000 per week of marijuana. Most of their marijuana came from California that was grown legally for medical purposes. It was being transported there by cars until they made enough money they could start flying it. This is the problem. This is why we have to have regulations in place to control this. It's not you guys, and I hate to take your medicine away.
Excuse me.
Can I finish?
When they transported that to where they transported it, that became a crime. They weren't medical growers. They were growing for the purpose of profit. This law affects those of us in the room and those of us in the community that are trying very hard to comply with the law and do it legally. There's plenty of anecdotal stories about the bad people, but that's not us.
I just explained that when I said this is the problem.
Don't make a hardship on us, legal people. Make a hardship on the people who are breaking the laws, being the mules, taking it from state to state.
We have no regulations to do that.
You're not hurting criminals, you're hurting
I know you guys
law-abiding
are happy with
citizens.
some of the parts of this, but we have to do something. We have to put something in place.
Why don't you guys focus on
Florida, not here in Susanville. Why are we talking about Florida?
Yeah.
It was medical marijuana grown legally in the state of California.
No, it was not medical marijuana, or it would not have been in Florida. It would have been in the hands of the people of the state that were using it for medicine. It became a crime when it was transported to Florida for the purpose of illegal things. When it was,
When left legal
The issue is it was growing under the pretenses of being legal for medical use.
pretense. We're not talking about pretense. We're talking about sick people.
I understand that. I'm not
Anecdotal
arguing-
evidence,
I'm
you
not
can
arguing
prove
against
anything.
The point is that it was grown legally in the state of California under medical grow dispensaries. It was being used illegally.
So what are you proposing? You want to make it illegal?
That's the
grow?
issue we're addressing right now.
The illegality is in the intent. The intent was to grow it for profit and send it to Florida. Therefore, it is not medical marijuana grown in California. It is illegal marijuana grown in California.
You now listen to this gentleman here until he's finished. And if you have beef with it or whatever you disagree with, it's fine. I agree with you. You all have that right. So let him speak what he has to say and digest so we can all digest it.
Okay, I'd just like to hear some truth.
Okay.
It is true. The issue is that it's being grown legally and being used for illegal uses, and that's where the issue lies. We have to have some kind of regulation to control that. I know you're not happy with what we have presented, but this is what we have presented. We have to do something to protect you guys, because at some point you won't be able to do any of it, because the illegal part of it will overtake it to where it becomes a crime for everyone.
It hasn't for 18 years. It's not a new law.
You're talking about it being a public, a safety hazard in the public. I would like to see you produce some crime statistics in the city of Susanville centered around outdoor grows. Then I'd like to see some crime statistics involving methamphetamine. Let's see what's the bigger problem, and let's see where the police's resource, law enforcement's resources ought to be used. Should it be used against the bane of society, methamphetamine, or should it be used against people who are trying to legally medicate themselves?
Here, here.
I believe we've already had an incident where it became an issue when houses have been being robbed for medicine.
I'm sure it's probably happened once. Let's see the police reports. Let's see the.
Let's base this on reality, not speculation.
There you go.
In the last 18 years it has been legal, how many has there been compared to other crimes in the community? This is Susanville, this is not Florida. This isn't Berkeley, as I've heard.
Steve, let's let Nick finish up, and then if you have some comments directed back at him, great, let him finish.
I can't hear you.
It's very difficult
Let him finish.
for him to make his presentation
I thought he had
and
to.
interrupted. So let him finish his presentation, and then if somebody wants to question him, great.
Bottom line is it's the criminals that are causing the problems. You guys have to be affected just like any other law-abiding citizen. Have to go to speed limit because someone didn't go to speed limit. That's how laws come about, because we have to control it and we have to protect it in some way. It doesn't matter if it's in Florida or not. It was grown in California legally as medical marijuana and used illegally. And that was my point. The medical scripts are being taken advantage of. There's several doctors that will write scripts for a certain amount of money. Those people are part of the problem. They're causing you guys the issues. You wouldn't be here if you were doing it legally. Illegally. If you were doing it illegally, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't put your face on it. So
The doctor should lose their license. That's illegal.
And as soon as you pass the ordinance, we are doing it illegally.
I agree with you. They should lose their license, but unfortunately, there's no way to regulate that. And without regulations, you can't control anything.
Excuse me, yes, there is. The doctor I go to is now one that has told me that it isn't a year now. Every 6 months, he has to review it. The illegal doctors are being dealt with, the doctors are
I believe
using
you've been asked several times to let me finish. So,
Let him finish.
Steve, anything else? Very good.
He's asking if you have
Yeah,
anything else.
next time. So do you have any?
I would just like it to be based upon what is really happening in Susanville. You say this was legally grown in California and then sent to Florida. The illegality is in the intent. It may have been being grown under the guise of medical marijuana. Bust his butt and put him in jail. His intent was to do something illegal. That is not the intent of the people that are trying to grow for themselves medically. Once you pass this ordinance, we will be illegal. We will have the highest fine you can give and still call it a misdemeanor. The highest amount of time in jail you can give and still call it a misdemeanor. This is recriminalizing something that we decriminalized as a state 18 years ago.
good guideline.
Anybody else from the council?
Yes. I don't have an issue with medical marijuana whatsoever. And I do feel that there needs to be regulations of some sort. I think that we need to go to the drawing board, though, and maybe work with some people and come up with some ideas. My feeling is that having to force people to spend money for a particular type of building is going to be a hardship on a lot of people. These people that are sick don't have the money to do that. So what are they supposed to do? That's my reservation. I am in favor of enforcement of some sort of regulation, but a particular type of building,
Zoning.
I don't know that everybody's going to be able to do that. I know that everybody's not going to be able to do that, and that's what my problem is with this particular ordinance.
The question on the floor is two. One is legalization of marijuana for those people that have to have it. The other side of the coin is the property owner. Everybody has equal protection. So I don't use marijuana, I don't use any drug, and I have my own policeman at work, and I did work the Bay Area in the 60s. So you know what was going on down there. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I think that Mrs. Garnier is indicating maybe with the chief who is putting this ordinance together, maybe we can enlighten the view to the sky. But to protect the owner next door that says, I don't want a marijuana, I don't want 5 plants growing next door. But you can smell marijuana. You can smell a marijuana plant.
Smell the tomatoes too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
They
you
smell
can
the
smell
same.
perfume and you can smell manure.
Personal preference.
Personal preference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not an argumented thing, it's trying to meet both needs. You all need a need, and we want to provide.
Medical
that.
need, other than
Now, how do
somebody's
we do that
smell?
and still protect the property owner under the Fourth Amendment?
Got an answer for you if you'd like to hear it. The police chief and the city council work with the growers to figure out what the solution
I
is.
think that's what
Don't
Mrs. Garnier
just,
brought on the table.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it, but we are willing as a community to work with the people, the law and the city council in this room to find a real solution, not a mock solution that's just going to make us criminals. Let us help you.
I indicate there's just 2 sides to the coin, and that's one of the ways they answer the coin, you know. Yeah.
Yes, if you would help us protect ourselves, we can set up cameras and whatever requirements so that we can be safe, or we have a large enough lot,
If a
or
committee can be
whatever your
formed.
requirement.
If you can't afford a building, how are you gonna afford cameras?
Right.
Cameras are a lot cheaper than a building.
Cameras are cheap. There's got to be an answer. I think that we need to form some sort of coalition.
Committee with
Form
committee.
some sort of coalition to come up with some ideas and work with law enforcement, something that's gonna be agreeable.
for just turning these people into criminals.
Acreage, away from the city, where you don't have neighbors right next door smelling it.
How do you afford to buy more land
Well-
if you already own a home? As this gentleman does, can he afford to go buy some property with land? No, he can't.
No, but he could give his prescription to her, and she could do it, and he could help her water and everything on her land where she doesn't have neighbors right next door.
It's a very communal thing.
It is.
Support each
And then everybody's just watching the one garden.
Weren't the regulations set up when they voted this in?
People in the room are afraid. They're afraid of being put in jail. They're afraid they're going to lose their state-given right to do this. We're asking you to help us, and we're offering to help you.
Hey, Rod has a statement.
Mr. Garnier come up with I agree with what she has to say. There's got to be something done. We have to form a coalition between both parties to protect you, protect us, and protect the people that don't want to get involved in it. I'm not against marijuana if it's a proper use. My father, somebody needed it, I did it for him. I don't care how illegal it was. So I think we should go back to the drawing board, design a more practical way to resolve this situation instead of have several thousands of dollars of a particular building. If it's parameters to it. So and that's where I stand on it.
Okay. Chief Downing, are you willing to work with them and come up with, I can see where this is going, we're gonna table this.
I'm fine with you tabling, Mr. Mayor, and I'm willing to work with anyone who wants to help us draft an ordinance that would protect the public and everyone else's rights. I'm not trying to step on, or the city improvement is trying to step on anyone's rights that were approved by the voter. Some of my concerns, though, is if we have outdoor grows, we still have the concern of neighbors, we still have the concern, the public safety concern of robbery and theft, and those concerns are widespread in our community, and there are several people that have had that happen to them, that they will not come to law enforcement and report. So, but I'm willing to work with anyone to come up with it. Maybe we talk about greenhouses that don't take electricity, and we can regulate it that way, or something to that.
I agree with them.
Personally, there are individuals in this community that have recommendations for marijuana of up to 99 plants. Some of them may have 3 or 4 individuals on one parcel of property within the city limits. One of them's in the room. That person may have 300 or 400 or more plants growing on one parcel, and that concerns me. So I would like for people to have access to what the public has said they could have access to, but I believe that we should attempt to regulate it the best we can for all concerned.
My
Can I make an
suggestion,
observation?
Yes.
It seems to me in Lassen County and in the city of Susanville, over the last several years, and ever since this law was passed, I can recall, not too few years ago, there was a guy in the county that wanted to do a grow on a commercial basis and on a medical basis, medical grow, outdoors, county shot him down. There's no dispensary in Susanville or Lassen County. There's no provision for anybody to get this stuff any other way except grow it in their backyards. Nothing. It seems, so the point I'm trying to make, it seems like the sentiment of the city board and of the county board is, we don't want it here, we don't want it, we don't want it. I've also,
You didn't hear that here. You didn't hear that we didn't.
No. I don't mean you directly said that, but because provisions like this are brought out to curtail anybody growing in the yard, because this guy that wanted to do his grow in the county was shot down, there was a dispensary that was shot down. It's just the feeling that you get, and I'm asking that you consider that, because that's the feeling that the people have that grow this in their backyard or use medical marijuana, is we still feel like criminals. We still feel like we're breaking the law, and that's because of the way we're made to feel in the community by law enforcement and by the city and by the county.
if the city is serious about working with the people of the community, the first thing you could do is when somebody calls because they've had a break-in, respond and treat that person with the dignity and respect that they deserve, and work the case as the case should be worked. Don't blame the grower, blame the thief. We need you to do that for us.
And the medical and the task force that's multi-agent, whether it's sheriff and police, has been to my grow, certainly, and asked how many plants and counted and looked around. They can come anytime, they do, and I have nothing to hide. I come forth with my recommendations, and if I do something that's illegal, take me to jail or take my plants or whatever should be done. I am not wanting to, I want to support regulatory behavior so that we don't have any problem, but I think that I have done so safely, and I need to grow with others for that safety. I am afraid to be out on my own. I'm a single person, and I thankfully have people around me that are supportive, and we function within the law.
Okay, we're going to bring this to a close. I think you guys got what you wanted tonight. You at least delayed, and you at least have a forum, and you have a police chief that's willing to talk with you and get your ideas and see if there's some solutions there where we can work together to solve some of these problems. Chief, they're going to need a way to do that.
I would suggest, Mr. Mayor, that in the next few weeks or so, when we can work this out, I'll have some sort of town hall forum or public meeting where these people can come and give me suggestions on how we can draft an ordinance. And we may be able to find from that some leaders that would want to step up and help in that aspect. I don't know that we'll all agree, but at least I'll hear what they have to say. I'll bring back that to you.
Okay, so with that, that's what we're going to do for tonight, and police chief will take care of his part.
Is this a council action, or is it a...
This is just direction to staff.
Okay, but it's not a council action.
It is not a council action.
To appoint a committee or...
Right now, it's in the police chief's hands. He's the one that brought this forward tonight.
Okay.
And so since there are some concerns, he's giving you a forum where you can help find some solutions. Because I don't think the police chief really did justice to tonight with trying to explain why he brought this forward. And he's going to need your help to solve some of those problems of why he brought this forward. And so you guys need to be thinking that way. He's looking for solutions. Obviously, you guys don't like this one, and it does have some problems. I agree. But if you work with the police chief, hopefully we can kind of find some things around it. Okay? Okay. We'll move on to item 9A then.
Thank you, by the way.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.